Hey everyone, today's guest is Greg Gorzynski, a product growth and marketing strategist who's worked with some of the top Poland tech companies. He's currently a product manager at Sprout Social, previously led head of marketing strategy at Project, and was a CMO at GoodSalary, where he generated 5,700 users and 11,000 plus leads, pre-product by the way, in just 7 months. Greg's also a digital nomad, which is something I want to dig into quite a lot, who's lived in 7 plus countries. So let's dive in. Thanks for sitting down with me, Greg.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. I was excited for the whole day to record this podcast.
I will say this, you're the first guest that prepped a lot for the questions and you're kind of like doing a back and forth with me, which I really love because that means you're putting a lot of your thought into it. And that's exactly the core point of me. I want to learn from you. And my hopes is that that audience will learn a lot from that as well. I think we got a lot of packed questions and a packed agenda, so I'm super excited to dig into it.
Dude, now pressure is on me now.
Well, we'll try to keep it as clean as possible. I do want to start off with the so you're based out of Krakow. I would say it's one of the most beautiful cities in Poland. So there's a plus. So you're already on the good start and a good path. So let's start off with the first question, which I'm super curious about. Is what I told you in the intro. You got 5,700 plus users, 11,000 plus leads, pre-product for GoodSalary. How in the hell did you do that?
GoodSalary was I was a CMO there, taking care of like every piece of marketing for this startup. This was very early stage startup, and that was, we can kind of call it a simple SaaS product for developers, and by developers I mean programmers from Poland. And what we wanted to do there is to provide them with like personalized salary reports. So each person would get them their personalized salary reports. You might have something in mind when it's called like salary reports, because they're like very common in Poland, that you get this broad salary report per position that you want to hold in the company. So like junior Java developer or something like this. We wanted to like kind of transform this experience into something a little bit more personalized, because I've been working with programmers my whole professional career, basically, in some sense. And I've heard the same thing over and over, which was, yes, this is too obvious what we can see in these reports, and like there is too many information skipping in this kind of reports, like including language. Like years of experience is not telling enough about the developer's experience. And coming back to your question, so we've got like this 11,000 or probably a little bit more. I stopped counting.
Yeah, because 11,000 is not a big number, right?
Let me tell you, I was not happy with that number.
Why?
Yeah, because we've had a different goal. Our goal was even higher. We might discuss whether it had any sense to set this kind of goals at this stage, especially that I've done some like backwards engineering on the goals. I was trying to find benchmarks and conversion rates and checking out how much budget I have. Do I have enough budget to even like reach this kind of goal? And I already knew that I'm not gonna have enough budget to reach our goal, which was definitely higher than this 11,000. Let me give you a little bit more context as well, because I think that's important. The easy thing about this whole company was that the product was for free. The other like easy thing was that I've had some budget. I've had some like marketing budget to basically acquire users, which is might be a little bit unexpected, especially in the early stages, because
pre-revenue. It was a pre-revenue. I'm assuming like you didn't monetize.
It definitely was, yeah. But and the idea was to be like this kind of growth kind of company and like scale on the other side a little bit later. However, there were some downsides as well. Like the difficult things were what we needed was the data. So we were providing the salary information and we needed data. And the developers are not known for the willingness to provide their own data, especially salary data and like career data. So that was extremely difficult to gather this kind of data. That's why I'm not that happy with the result, because it was difficult to get this like rich data about the salaries. And another like downside was we didn't have a dedicated engineering team.
Sure.
We had a few developers, front end and back end here and there, because like the owner is the owner of dev shop in Poland. We say software house, which is basically a software development company. Like basically the founder. So we sometimes had some resources, but the downside is if they had a client, they just took our developer from this product. So that's why basically I say we were pre-product, because we had maybe you can call it MVP what we've got over there. But I wouldn't say so. So there some pros and cons in this kind of situation. So let me share my framework for basically building this kind of early stage marketing strategy for this kind of startup, because I believe it was pretty simple and effective. So I've started with designing a very simple strategy. I would say it should take you 2 to 4 weeks to complete like every piece of this strategy. And it should include like 4 major steps, I would call it. The first one is user research. The second one is like analysis and like bringing some kind of conclusions from your personal experience as well. The third one, very important one, I would call it like alignment workshops, because you are a growth person as well, so you know that like for every salesperson, marketing person, growth person, like one of the most important tasks is like to being aligned with the other stakeholders. So this is what we wanted to get here as well. And the team was new, like we didn't know each other at all. We were all hired, by the way, including the CEO. So that was a tricky situation as well. So like workshop and alignment on basically the strategy that we want to do. And the fourth, like the last element, is like writing down the whole strategy and document it pretty easily. So we've started with a strategy, and I believe like coming back to your question, how we've done it, I would say that the most important piece was testing different marketing channels. Like when it comes to like the typical marketing stuff, I've tested probably 11 or so different marketing channels, including I wrote it down just because I didn't remember the channels, and it was like Facebook ads, Google ads, Bing ads. Bing is Bing, my Microsoft's browser.
Do they even work? People use Bing?
Depending on what you were asking about, there are people there. They have the like ads management system, so you are able to create an ads over there. Did I say correctly? It's Bing's is Microsoft's.
Yes,
I'm not sure.
yes, I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So we've done some ads, and not very successfully, let's say. But yeah, no, it wasn't bad. So like Bing ads, some influencer marketing, some Reddit ads. Do you know Vykop?
I do not. What is that?
Vykop is like Polish version of Reddit.
Really?
There are a lot of developers there as well. By the way, super successful channel for us. Very weird.
That was the top one, or was there another one?
Influencer marketing had the highest ROI.
Yeah, I was speaking to Maciej, ex CMO at Prowly and growth at Skyscanner. He said the same exact thing, is that influencer marketing, I mean, it just works. You have to be strategic about it, but it just works if you execute it well enough.
Yeah, it is pretty difficult, especially for early stage companies like GoodSalary was, just because good influencers don't want to cooperate with new companies, because
what do you think that is?
Yeah, they value their own brand, so they don't want to.
What does that mean?
So basically, I would say like good influencers, it really depends what you mean, but like the influencers with their own like personal brands in this sense, they really don't want to cooperate with companies that might fuck up.
Oh, really?
So yeah, they don't really want to do that.
And your definition of a fuck up is they just go under or they're not successful?
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
as I said, like our product was based on the data. So basically they didn't want to have anything wrong with the data piece. That was
Okay.
very important. So they didn't they were asking questions like, where are you going to say this, sell this the data for?
Right.
Who is going to use this data? Or why are you gathering this? They were checking the terms of services on our website. We were like,
I mean, that's actually pretty good.
Protective. It definitely is. That's why I'm saying it's difficult, but yeah, as I said, the highest ROI for us. So yeah, definitely they want to protect their own brand. And in this case, I'm talking about IT influencers, which basically, I would say they have money. It's not like they need this kind of cooperation. Sometimes, like the smaller creators, they do, but it's not like the budget relies on our cooperation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was pretty. Pretty
That's one hell of a
interesting as well.
story. Really, influencer marketing keeps coming up, and I'm sure it's very useful and beneficial for a lot of folks that are hesitant about doing it. But like you said, it's all about how you execute it. Just pick a channel. In your case, you tried 11 different marketing channels and see which one works and just stick to it. I'm curious, Greg, what's harder, building growth strategies as a consultant or executing them as an employee?
I've done both. I've started by being like a specialist, let's say, and then so I was implementing strategies. If I was lucky enough to have it, and then I was marketing strategist or a growth strategist.
Sure.
So I was basically on the consulting side, and then I switched back to being in-house. And from this experience, it is my own experience, I have to say. I know I don't want to be rude about it at all, but I have to say it is completely different experience for me to be in-house than being on the consulting side. It is easier for me. It is easier, and I would say I had a lot of burnouts episodes when I was doing consulting as well. It was pretty difficult for me to cope with the pressure, meeting the deadlines, which were super heavy. By the way, the company I was working for was great. It wasn't crazy or anything like that. You can hear.
It's okay. You can bash them if you want
crazy. Yeah. Unfortunately, the
this
company
is only going to go public.
doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, the company doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. Yeah, but the people I've met there were all great, and our customers were quite great as well. However, I really prefer being in-house, and I would say maybe it's all about the responsibility. Because if you're doing outsourcing, or if you're on the outsourcing side, then people kind of expect you to be responsible for the results, but you cannot do anything to basically help it to succeed from the within if they don't employ you in some sense.
Right.
So I believe there are like 3 pieces to it, basically.
Sure.
So the strategy is the first piece. So like consulting basically solves it. The other piece is like doing the work or reviewing the work. So basically implementing the strategy. And the third piece, I would say, is like having some kind of benefits from this company succeeding
Right.
in a sense. And like consulting has only the first piece. So basically, majority of the times, our consulting projects were ending after the strategy piece, which was a little bit our fault in some sense. We were trying to get a little like this holistic project a little bit more, so we have more input to the implementation. But many times, like people outsourcing this kind of strategies just expect that strategy will solve everything, and I would say the implementation is everything, not the strategy itself.
I'm curious on the consulting part. I gotta feel like the consultants get a lot of bad rap. It is a tough job, especially if you are
influencer marketing, by the way.
right, both, right? I think in any way where you're just going into a company, just like putting your feet down and you have to get results ASAP or in a fast manner, it's always going to be a tough gig, right? Sometimes it will work out, sometimes it will not, but almost 100% of the time, responsibility is yours. I'm curious, you mentioned the results. Isn't a lot of the job of a consultant to get right is to make sure that they set the right expectations?
Yeah, it definitely is, but this is the hardest part. This is like super hard part, but maybe not like set the expectations, but there are two separate things that comes into the strategy as well. Like your client expects something, and sometimes they need something different. And if you are doing consulting, you need to provide both.
Wow,
Because
that is pretty difficult.
yeah, it is difficult because if you don't provide, in at least some sense,
Sure.
what they want, they will not be satisfied. And if you don't provide what they need, they will not succeed, which means they will not be happy with your work again and will not come back, basically, which is kind of like an agency business model is based on that as well.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I think like consulting, it's a pretty difficult gig because if you get it wrong, like you said, you're not going to get repeat business, and a lot of business is just word of mouth.
Yeah.
There is not a lot of cold outreach in consulting. It's just a lot of word of mouth and people knowing you, having, like you said, brand, and that you run with it. So it is pretty important. But yeah, that's a whole different topic altogether. Just consulting side of things is crazy.
Yeah. By the way, may I ask you kind
Sure.
of the same question? Because
course.
you've been doing like in-house work,
Sure.
but now you are freelancing and you are on this side of things as well. How was your experience? Because I'm always curious.
Mine's polar opposite, frankly. Probably because the clients that I worked with or people that I worked with, they already know or have seen me in action. Part of my thing is that even while I was a VP, I was very much an operator. So you mentioned something about the strategy side. So while I do good on strategy, I also go ahead and implement it. So I have like the best of both worlds. But I've just only started this journey. I mean, the last time I did consulting back in the day was like 8 years ago. Right. So, and like you said, a lot has changed since then. And I also think it depends quite a lot on the market in which you do it, because Poland's market for consulting is a whole different ball game than, for instance, in the US. I think Poland's market, for a lack of a better way to put it, is still immature when it comes to fractional work and consultancy. I was talking to Basia Durkowska yesterday in Wrocław at the Growth Meetup, which we're discussing the same exact thing, is that a lot of people here would just want you to come work for them full time. Hey, I mean, like, that's the only way you can implement it, right? No, I can still do this. I don't want to work full time. I just want to do this fraction. So I think you're treading in very tough waters to begin with, right? So, like, from my experience, different because mostly the market, my messaging and everything is a little bit outside. So just the experience is a lot different, I would say, for the most part.
Interesting.
I guess my question, Greg, is, look, I think a lot about companies that go to $1, $2, $3, $4 million in recurring revenue, especially now with with AI tools, with vibe coding, everybody can go and build a product. So climbing the ranks of revenue is pretty hard. So if a $2 million ARR SaaS founder asked you, should I hire a marketer, or go do it myself, what would you say to them? And the reason why I'm asking this, the reason why I'm asking this, just to preface this, is because with the invention of AI and LLMs pretty much being mainstream, a lot of the folks think that, well, I don't need that person. I can just talk to Chat GPT and Claude, and I can just do this myself.
Yeah, I wish it was this way. I'm waiting for it. By the way, I was at the event and I was working at GoodSalary back then, and I remember I was looking for an SEO agency to like provide us with a complex SEO project for GoodSalary. And
Right.
I remember somebody from the audience at the event say, or like ask me or say it this way, like, you don't know ChatGPT? It will do everything for you when it comes to SEO. Of
course.
So this is people still think in this way. Anyways, you need to put your scope and effort to use ChatGPT. Anyways, somebody has to do it, like still do it. But coming back to your 2 million ARR, was it, or
Yeah,
MRR?
ARR. MRR would be, I don't think they need advice on marketing that much. They've made it.
Yeah, this is what I was going to ask you, by the way. Let me pretend that you are the founder.
Sure.
But basically, I would ask you, how did you do it before? How did you make 2 million ARR? Because that's quite enough, like in dollars especially. So what have you done to the moment and place that help you reach this goal?
Yeah, 100%. Look, I think kind of like a pushback on that would be things that got you from 0 to 2 are not going to take you from 2 to 10, right? And things that took you to 2 to 10 are maybe will work, but not as much. You will have to change gears and shift strategies for the most part now.
Yeah, then it would basically really depend on the answer. If they were to answer like, I've done it all myself, then I would like, you have enough experience to hire a marketer.
Right. Just a
You know
person
what I
who
mean?
does this thing for the full day to day.
Because I believe that if you want to delegate, you kind of need to at least know a little bit of work you're delegating. Otherwise, you are not able to review the work.
That's smart.
You are not able to plan, and you basically like there's this saying like, try to delegate, not abdicate. And usually people want to abdicate. So by even like we were talking about the consulting piece, it's like sometimes it's abdicating for doing the work they don't want to do in some sense. So it's kind of the same with this founder example. So if I were to advise, I would say if you have at least some experience with marketing, you are able to review somebody's work. Then if you have enough money to delegate it to hire someone, do it, and you're gonna have more time and scope to do something else. Focus on the business side, maybe a little bit more. However, if you haven't done anything yourself, I would recommend you to at least try and implement, like write down, as I said, 2 to 4 weeks strategy is gonna take you 2 to 4 weeks, and try to implement it just for 3 months yourself. And then by that, maybe you won't know what to do good, but definitely you're gonna know what is not working.
Yeah. May I ask you a question, Greg? What makes a good marketer?
What makes a good marketer? That's a difficult question. That's a simple question, but this is quite difficult.
We can shift it if you would like to kind of like talk about what traits do they have? Because like, for instance, for salespeople, they just have to be consistent. You can be an average salesperson and be consistent, and long term, you're going to beat anybody who's volatile, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say something maybe a little bit controversial on this piece, but again, this is my experience only. I know tons of people with totally different experience. I would say marketer has to be analytical. It doesn't need to be creative.
Really?
Yeah. This is my experience. Like, you can create a process to be creative, to create something creative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't need to be born as a creative person to be a marketer. And I also believe that there's all these like viral actions, like tactics are definitely overrated.
Yeah. Why do you think that?
Yeah. Why do I think that? Because
they get what I'm saying is that they get a lot of eyeballs, and we are in attention economy. Everybody's vying for eyeballs, right? Like, look at my thing, look at my thing, look at my thing.
Yeah, but there is this kind of bias that you only see successful viral campaigns, but you don't see thousands or millions viral campaigns that nobody had ever seen them. You know what I mean? So this is like extremely difficult. So you're playing against the odds.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm saying that because I don't know how to do it myself, but I would never put my money on the viral action as its own. You have to create multiple viral to be campaigns and try that kind of scale this to be able to be successful. And anyways, you have to think numbers for it. So that's why you need to be kind of analytical.
Yeah. I think you're echoing what Michał Sadek said on the podcast. He said, only in the past 5 to 6 years, people have started noticing my content, but it took me 20 years of content creation to get here, where he has produced a ton of bad content and a ton of good content. But you never really know which one takes off until it really, really takes off. So you just see the success overnight, but it's like the whole thing in the making for the most part, right?
Yeah, Sadek, I believe he's a great salesperson, and you said that a very
He
good
would
salesperson
argue
has to be
otherwise.
consistent. He's not here. We can say a very good piece of feedback about him. And you said that every good salesperson has to be consistent.
Yes.
So, and then he's very consistent, and
Sure.
that's why he's so
That's very
successful
fair.
in a sense. And but I believe like being consistent, it works for every position basically.
Right.
However, we don't always have luxury to be consistent enough. Sometimes we don't have enough time to be that consistent. Sometimes you need to like run for your goals, for your objectives. I wish it was otherwise, but I faced this kind of situation many times, including the GoodSalary one, that I didn't get to the most consistent marketing tactics because I didn't have enough time.
You just don't have the privilege, right? It's kind of like what folks are saying, you should post on LinkedIn every day. You should post on. Yeah, dude, but I also have a job. I also have kids. I got chores. I got responsibilities. While it's great to be consistent, the reality of things is that it's not possible for the most part for you to be able to go ahead and do that. So that's a very, very good point that you make. Greg, you've been a consultant, CMO, like you name it, you've done it. And in the sense of growth, you have mentored at multiple different accelerators. What's the number one thing early stage founders get wrong about growth? Because Reddit is riddled with feedback. I think internet in general. I'm curious to hear from you. Where is it that most founders get this wrong?
I'll give you a quick answer on the growth part, and I will give you a hot take on the accelerators. All right. So I would say what they get wrong about growth is thinking that growth is growth hacking, and growth hacking for them is like miracle tactics that work with just little resources. This is like that's from my experience. That's a common understanding.
Is that a definition of growth hacking?
For majority of the people I know, it is. By the way, I don't even use this phrase, growth hacking.
It's like very 2015.
I don't know. I don't know what that means in a good word, but in a bad one, it means like having some kind of magical knowledge and providing extremely good results with no resources. Basically, what people mean. I promised you something on the accelerator piece because I have some thoughts on it. And I would say people that come to like the common accelerators usually don't need them. They just want money from this accelerator if they provide money. Or they need some kind of network or something like this. And I like many accelerators had this kind of programs, and I was like leading the workshop, the mentoring part. And majority of the people didn't give a damn about like our consultancy, whatever. They didn't pay attention. And I think they should focus more on like doing the job than consulting at this stage. And if you know any accelerator that would provide people with resources, like a marketing person to help with marketing for a period of time instead of like mentoring, I think that would be way more beneficial. Happy to get to know this kind of accelerators. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that. Is there an accelerator in Poland that you recommend, like from your experience?
I'm not gonna recommend anything but not because all of them are bad. They are definitely not. But I don't know them enough.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yeah, so I don't want to say that they are not they're good or bad.
Sure.
There are many of them are good,
Mhm.
but I would just think about my goal to go to
Yeah.
this kind of accelerators. Otherwise, you waste time because you have to attend mentoring
Yeah.
sessions and these trainings and stuff.
Yeah. Would you go the accelerator route if you were building, let's say, a startup in 2026?
Um, I'm not sure if I were like serious about it and I wanted to be like a hyper growth kind of company. I
Sure.
would try to get to the famous one, like not the Polish one, like the Y Combinators of this
Right.
world. But for money, network, and business opportunities, like partners, and basically finding clients because this is like a business model itself. To be a part of Y Combinator, you get, if you are a B2B company,
Yeah.
you get customers for being a part of this
It's a massive
accelerator.
brand. I mean, that
And
alone just pushes you in the front in a lot of different ways, right?
yeah, I think that's one of the most successful startups in the world, like Y Combinator.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
interesting. I did not know that.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
So,
they have lots of stocks in the famous companies,
yeah.
so they're quite successful themselves.
Yeah, interesting. Well, clearly they're doing something right. It just works. And the fact that they have a treasure trove of knowledge you can learn from them and not make the mistakes is just fantastic. So yeah, really, really, really good point that you make here. So you're switching gears and coming to Poland for about a little while. You worked in Poland for years. What do you think has actually changed in the startup ecosystem here over the years?
Yeah. What I think has changed is that right now we are way more professional.
Hmm.
So, like 10 years ago, we didn't have that many successful startups. Right now, there are plenty, like
Huge
maybe
amount.
dozens even, like
Sure.
successful startups with, successful acquisitions.
Yeah, we just had one in
Or
Wrocław, Surfer SEO. They got acquired.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
it's much. It's something we would never hear before, and now it's just everywhere.
Totally.
Mm.
And I think one time I was like writing down this kind of successful startup. There were dozens of them. So definitely this being more professional and like maybe maybe I'm thinking in a more American sense,
Sure.
like having a successful startup. But definitely we have even like many successful startups without a VC funding, just being
But
a
sure.
fun company to work at. And what has changed also, I would say, is like the brand that we have abroad as Poland and having a business in Poland. Because 10 years ago, we were the outsourcing valley. So having the RPOs
Yeah.
of this world in Krakow. And right now, I wouldn't say we're like a startup valley, definitely not. But we're definitely getting there. And maybe one thing that didn't change is that we used to have very good engineers, like developers,
Sure.
programmers, and we still do.
Yeah.
I work with like unbelievable people right now, like totally, a few years younger than me, and they're like
Yeah.
ruling it.
100%. I think this is something that a lot of the companies in the US, and I've speak to them quite regularly, one they realize is that there's just so much talent to be scooped up here in Poland. Like we churn out so many good engineers, like you said, in such a fast pace that there is no shortage of good talent here, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
competition for the most part. So
Yeah,
it
I hope we'll get there with like product people. So product
go to
managers
market, right? I think
stuff.
it's like it's
Exactly.
what Mick Griffin was saying when we were talking is that Poland is not on the map for go to market, and this is where like us having to work on it, you just have to pave the way to make sure that it does appear on the map. And I'm sure this is something that is going to
Yeah.
happen in the near future.
Clearing the
For
path here. Yeah.
hey,
Right.
in any way, shape, or
Doing
form
our best.
possible, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I think the best thing you can do is talk to people. One thing, and I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, is that a lot of the folks that are popular, say in the world of SaaS, growth, tech, you already know their experience. I'm pretty sure they have told their story time and time and time again. They have perfected their pitch, for a lack of a better way to put it. So their experience is not going to grow much within the span of 6 to 8 months, right? Like their experience has already been aggregated and distributed. it's the folks that are doing the grunt work in the trenches every single day that I am interested in hearing about. Which is like, what are you doing? What's working? What's not? Because you probably have a different perspective, and you have ideas that have not been shared yet. They're like shower thoughts. Oh god damn, maybe I'll try that. That's what I'm interested in, because if you do that, it might be a magic moment for X, Y, or Z out there that would go, whoa. Like, because for me, influencer marketing, I never really thought would work at all. But now that you tell me, Machi has told me, I'm like, well, wait a second. Is that a viable strategy for B2B SaaS? Well, turns out it is. It's just difficult. But name me any growth strategy that is easy. And I don't think you can find one.
Totally. Can we come back very quickly to the previous question? Because I was going to ask you the same. Like, what's your experience with the Polish startup / business ecosystem?
Yeah, I don't. So the last time I worked here was roughly 9 years ago, give or take. And back then, I think the market was still not. It wasn't ready. A lot of things.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
In the sense that we were trying to mimic the United States, or like companies that are living in the US. But a lot of the customers still are from Poland for that company. So you really can't replicate that buying style over here. I'll give you an example. If you are aggressive here in cold calling, an aggressive manner here in Poland, you're not going to succeed in sales. But in the United States, at least 10 years ago or 9 years ago, that was still pretty much an acceptable norm, is where you can be a little bit more pushy, follow up. Here, it's not going to work. People are just, we don't accept that for the most part. That's why we don't have cold calls. We don't have robocalls or spam calls and what have you. So I think that has changed quite a lot for the most part as companies have gone global. Strategies have changed more from sales-led to more product-led, which has definitely been a major win here for Poland. Even if you look at companies like, they're investing in marketing, going more product-led, as opposed to going more towards the sales side. Not so good for me in my profession, but I fully understand that. And the other thing I think is that we have gotten a great influx of talent here, partially because we have a lot of companies here now, like you said, a lot of startups, and there's been so much talent coming from everywhere, and they're kind of like sprinkling their experience around with everyone, which is great because you get to learn. The only way you're going to improve is if you're actually talking to these people and learning from their experience. So I think we're heading in a good place. We just need more time. I mean, it just takes time for any market to mature. I think that the next decade will be pretty interesting for Poland for sure.
Yeah. Do you recognize any differences between like Warsaw ecosystem and maybe Krakow ecosystem? Do you know them both?
Oh, I have no idea. I've never worked with Krakow anywhere. The only thing I know is that the food is a lot better in Krakow. I don't know how it's that.
Definitely.
I don't know if that got anything to do with tech, but yeah, I think like it's just I not enough experience to be able to say anything about it. But I'm hoping that I will. Great. This is pretty interesting. I want to ask you something, and it was a question while I was doing some research. I thought like I would be interested in asking, if you had about $10,000 to grow a $5 million SaaS company, where would you spend it?
Yeah, I would do exactly the same as I've done in GoodSalary. So I would write down all the marketing channels that I think would work for this kind of business. And then I would try them both, just both, all of them, just a little bit. And then out of that, I would think about it as a funnel. So I would try to go down through the funnel and just recognize the ones that are working. And basically, it would be the Pareto principle in practice, probably. Yeah. So definitely there will be like 20% of the channels. So basically 2-3 channels that would work. And I'm not saying that they would be amazing. They would work, and then you will be able to work on them, optimize. And stuff like that. So basically, this is what I would do, because what I don't want to do is guessing. So I don't want to have my favorite channel. I don't want to do it. Right now, my favorite channel is influencer marketing, because I work in a SaaS company doing influencer marketing as a B2B SaaS. But I would try to be as far from having my favorite channel to work for this business, because like the consultancy work taught me as well that what worked for one company might not work for a different one. So don't want to go this path.
Preaching to the choir, which is why I think a lot of the people, when they go from one company to another, they're like, Yeah, I did it over
Copy
there.
paste. Yeah.
It's not gonna work here, dude. For the most part, right? But like, it keeps coming back to the analytical side, which I really like what you said in the very beginning. Although, as controversial as it may sound, it seems like you hit the nail on the head. Greg, you listened to My First Million daily,
The podcast.
but the podcast.
They don't post or publish enough podcasts for me to listen daily. But
Hey, there's another
uh,
podcast here.
yeah, that's my favorite podcast. Yes, just after I publish this episode, it will be my favorite one. No, I just listen to podcasts every day or almost every day, and this is my favorite one.
Sure. What's the best thing you've learned from it?
Do you know this podcast?
I do not. So, like, my thing is, like, when I'm walking my dog every day, I listen to Audible, like audiobooks, which I'm a huge fan of. I haven't, it is ironic and hypocritical considering I have a podcast and I don't listen to podcasts. But I guess like the story goes back to don't get high on your own product type thing. Like there are some I've obviously listened to in the past, but very sporadically. I'm more of an audiobooks person, if you were to ask me. I just like consuming content there. But I'm curious, you listen to it quite a lot. You said the content is great. What is one thing or the best thing that you've learned from it?
Yeah, you know the name again. It's called My First Million, but the name is super cheeky, and it basically doesn't say what it is. It used to be a podcast about people reaching the goal of 1 million ARR, I guess, or revenue or whatever. But right now, I would say it's just two dudes talking about business, their own experiences. They're quite successful businessmen, by the way. And sometimes, bringing the guest, but the humor part is super cool and like the vibes. But what it taught me, they invented something, and this was called Sarah's List.
Sarah's List.
Sarah's List.
Mm-hmm.
So Sarah is a wife of one of the hosts.
Okay.
And she was like strategizing with the host, so with her husband, on her career path. And they basically wrote down multiple companies that were pretty stable but had huge opportunities for growth. And in the end, I believe she picked Airbnb or something like that, or Instagram, one of the two. She used to work in both. And the goal was that this company should basically give you some stock plans and potential for growth, and then doing the IPO. So basically this like early stage employees should be millionaires by then, and it worked. And basically what Sarah's List is a list of companies with a huge potential in the upcoming 3 to 5 years that would give you stock options, and they're quite stable. So they're not like crazy anymore. And this is basically
that's genius.
Like very interesting path. And this is one of the paths that will, or not will, might make you a millionaire apart from being a businessman.
Interesting.
So the Sarah's List, I don't think it's like the official anymore. There used to be a website for it. I don't think it is anymore. But there were at least like 2 lists in 2022 and 2024. You definitely will be able to find the list.
That is a fantastic idea. Thank you for sharing that. I'll obviously take a look at it. I didn't know this existed, but that's cool. Greg, you are a digital nomad. I do want to ask whether or not digital nomad life, it's overrated or underrated. I can't work away from my workstation. I need my studio, I need my monitors, the whole thing. Like, you put me in front of a laptop, I probably will get done 10 minutes of work in like 5 hours. I just suck for the most part. I can't do it. How do you compensate? Like, how do you work that? Is it something for you it just works, or more you've gotten used to it?
Yeah, so that's a funny thing, because that's the first winter in the last 5 years that I didn't go to live abroad. So I'm like retired to digital nomad right now, but I can proudly call myself a digital nomad. I believe it's like part of my identity right now.
Right.
So is it overrated or underrated? I would say it's like underrated. I mean,
Really?
for me, yeah, I believe so. For me, that was a dream, and it met every expectation that I set for myself to be a digital nomad, to live abroad, to have sunny weather for the whole winter, and not like the 50 Shades of Grey in Poland. I'm not talking about the movie. So um, I would say that I would recommend people to try it. It's not that difficult to try, because sometimes people think that this is very difficult because it is very like emotionally heavy, because you need to leave your home and like find yourself a new home. So this is like very emotionally heavy for people, but it's not that difficult. So you just need to get some budget, rent something. Even on Airbnb, it is pretty expensive to do it there, but it is pretty straightforward though.
Yeah.
And just try it for at least 1 month, and then you will see for yourself. Like,
Yeah.
do the experiment.
Yeah.
If that's something for you. It would be a little bit more difficult with like in your situation, if you need your own studio. However, there are co-working spaces. You can create like a little studio, your own home. I was usually renting apartments with a separate room to be able to work there. So definitely something to try. My favorite part was being so much more productive than here during the winter, probably because of the sun, or like walking next to the sea.
Know exactly what you mean, because as soon as we get sun outside, even if it's like 3 degrees Celsius, I just go for a walk. It's just something about sun that just makes you go, whoa, like this is life. I mean, it's nice and warm. It's just birds chirp a little bit better, trees look a little bit better. But I fully understand what you mean on the digital nomad life.
Totally. And sometimes I hear people saying that it is difficult for them to focus when they are abroad, because like there's sun outside, you want to go outside, you want to work. For me, it was the opposite, because I was like, I need to do as much work as I can during the working hours, which I set for myself. And then I have all world outside for myself. And then I closed my laptop. I was super productive, super happy about my work, and that was a high time for me.
Yeah, flip it. I think it's kind of like the companies, like they're forcing people to not work and not sending messages in the evening, because if these folks are relaxed and they sleep well, they're going to be more productive the next day, the next week, the next month. So you're essentially investing in yourself. You don't even realize it in a lot of ways. Greg, I have so many questions for you, but I guess one more question that I have. You specialize in user activation, right? What's the number one reason users sign up and never come back? And this is a challenge that so many companies face, right? They get a lot of trials.
They sign up and they don't come back.
Yeah, they just never come back. I mean, if you look at companies direct, conversion rate is 11%, 12%, 15%, what have you. What about the rest? They just never come back. Why is that?
Yeah, I would say it really depends on the price point, from my experience, on the price point of the product. Because like for like free products, the main reason I would say is because they don't have anything to stick to. Like there's nothing like pushing them to use this kind of product. And if you have like a small price point, you want to justify the value with your time. So I would say that was the part of the GoodSalary, I think, as well. It was a free product, so people just like checked it out and left and didn't come back. Didn't come back much. So that's the one thing. The obvious one is just they don't need it. They just saw it. So like the random reason, they just didn't need it. They were curious. They didn't stay. Whatever. We need to forget this kind of people. Difficult to analyze the data because of that, but we have to deal with it.
I got a question for you while you're talking about user activation and marketing. LinkedIn marketing, yes or no?
LinkedIn, you need to specify, because
so let's just say you're looking to build a brand, right? A lot of people's like marketing people build their brand because then they can just carry their brand from one company over to another company. And that brand does not go away because it's not specified to a company, it's an individual. If you were to pick a tool, a platform, would LinkedIn be one of them? Because based on what Elon Musk said the other day, LinkedIn is just cringe and dead and blah.
Yeah, define the business. Like, give me an example. So
Let's just say
because like
you're a
it will be
CMO
different.
at a company. Would you benefit from having a brand on LinkedIn, or do you think it's like it's a
Yeah,
fad? Employers frown upon it when you do jokes and look weird.
I don't think it's a fad at all. Like personally, it's one of my favorite channels, and maybe a little bit outside of the topic, but I cannot wait until LinkedIn provides the influencer marketing API, because they're one
What
of
is
the.
that?
Currently, LinkedIn does not have any kind of creator API, so they don't provide any data points on um, on user posting on LinkedIn to
Okay.
one of to like platforms like ours. So Meta, so Facebook, Instagram, and stuff like that, they have their own API, so they provide this kind of information, and LinkedIn doesn't really have it at all. So it is very difficult to measure any kind of influencer marketing campaign on LinkedIn. You need
So
to
the
do it like
analytics are not
yourself.
there. Right.
Not at all. So it is difficult to justify the investment. Like it is super difficult. Maybe one more thing from like my personal experience. If I were looking for a job, I would go to LinkedIn, and I've done that. You can just scroll on my profile, and there is a timeline for my activity on LinkedIn. When I knew I need to like post it 2-3 times a week for at least 1 or 2 months, and I will find a job. And
Really?
I wish to, because this is like by the way, that was the another reason not to come back to a product is lack of touch points, and like number of posts that you post, they're basically touch points with your potential employer. So LinkedIn, I love it. I wouldn't use it for every channel, but for every company, but definitely one of my personal favorites. Yes.
There's something about it that you're saying. It's kind of like, I don't know if you saw Drift as marketing back in the day, but Drift was everywhere. I think Dave Gerhardt was the CMO at Drift, or he led marketing efforts there. I don't know if I recall correctly, but Drift was everywhere. And that was kind of like, I think, and please don't quote me on that, that was the era of kind of like brand kind of becoming the whole thing. And on LinkedIn, I know most people think it's cringe, you shouldn't post, it's just nonsense. But you're right. It is going to show up, and you are going to you're looking at LinkedIn, and your face is going to pop up, and your name is going to pop up, and people are going to remember it. Oh, Greg is posting, or Saeed is posting. And the more you post, it's free eyeballs and free attention.
Totally. Yeah, I would say that it is cringe to post, but not only cringe, people will like read your posts. Like there's multiple.
There you go. There's a lot of lurkers that
it.
just don't even interact, but they're like, "Oh man, I saw your podcast." I was like, "Great." No comments or nothing, but they saw it. The fact that it's in their head is your bullet right there and then.
Yeah. And man, people just forget you. They forget that you exist. Like your network, your friends, they forget about you. It's the same with your brand.
Yeah.
That your potential customers, they just forget that you exist. And like touch points, including LinkedIn posts, is something to just remind them that you exist, and you might like help them in some
On the topic of cringe, is there one type of post that you really loathe on LinkedIn? It's like, God damn, not this. Just not this.
There is one thing that I think it works very well. I don't do it, or if you can quote me on that. If you ever see me doing this, just
I will call
comment and call me out. Call me out here on the podcast. I'll try to never do it in my life. It's like if you post a picture with your finger like pointing at something, like a topic of your post on your book. There's like this like drafts of or templates for this kind of images, like doing this one. This is crazy. I hate it. Hyper cringe. Don't do it.
There you go.
Or do it if it works for you. Do it. Happy for you. I will try not to.
I don't know, man. I don't think I've reached the stage at which I like posting my pictures. I don't think I ever get there. The selfie zone. This is not like, download my playbook by commenting download or play.
Oh, that works very well.
Right. But I'm not. okay, I get it. I understand the
Sometimes
game.
you gotta do what you gotta
Yeah,
do.
you gotta play. I think Chris Novak, I was speaking to my videographer.
Yeah.
He was mentioning is that I'm sorry, man, the game is rigged, but you have to play the game to be the game. I was like,
Yeah.
shit, this is so.
YouTube thumbnails, the same.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Greg, I want to ask you one question before we head into our rapid fire round. This has been such an interesting conversation. Um, Everywhere I look, people they want a remote US, like a remote job with a company that is based out of the US. I get the appeal. I see it. I understand it. The money is better, specifically if you're living in Central, Eastern Europe, or even Western for that matter. What is one thing they don't understand about actually doing a remote job at the US-based company, though?
So the easy answer would be sometimes you need to do late calls. But it doesn't happen often for me. But happens once in a while. At our company is not bad. They appreciate that we are in Europe, and they really like save us from this late calls. They don't mind. So that's one thing. One that's a little more difficult for Polish people is that Americans, by the way, if any of my American friends listen to it, it's not about you.
It's definitely about you. Keep it coming.
It's not about you. It's about somebody else. Another different American. They are not as straightforward as we are. So sometimes you just ask a question, and they just don't answer your question. They just
circle around it.
Sometimes they cannot, which is happening a lot with like leadership, because if you are a publicly traded company, sometimes we cannot say things. But I don't mean on
corporate
like managers. Sometimes you want to just follow up your question with the same question. So it's like, so let's come again to my question. Can you just
there's something there. Polish people are really brutally straightforward. Like,
are we? I don't
know. No, I think think about it, right? Like, we don't even have the concept of saying how are you, like dzień dobry. We don't say jak masz or jak się pani. No. I don't want to know how you are, but how are you in the States is like, it's just hello.
I had to taught myself doing so, like the small talk. It's an art. It's an art on its
Do you
own.
enjoy it though? Is it something
I hate it.
Right?
I'm Polish. I hate small talk. No, but this is something that I don't know. Have to live with, and I don't hate it anymore.
I mean, I think you get used to it, right? For the most part, after a certain.
I try to ask interesting question. Is that like not like how are you, or I would say like how are your challenges today, or how it usually we start with like the time zone differences, because we're late usually. So this is like not being straightforward. This is something that people do not know about, working at American company. And by the way, this is something that I've experienced myself, and something that was foreign to me, is that we have nothing to be ashamed of in Poland.
Of course not. We're a proud nation.
Like the quality of work that we do, outstanding. The work ethics that we do have, outstanding. Knowledge, even like English level, not bad.
It's actually fantastic. Even in Krakow, I was there, I think a few weeks ago, and almost everybody speaks English. I think our problem is, and sorry to cut you off, is that we don't have the idea of spotlight being on us. You know what I mean? We feel like that if somebody asks us something, we give our opinion, but just keep it to yourself for the most part. Whereas stateside, and it's not a dig, it's just a fact, people love to express themselves. Just like, spotlight is on us, look at us. For the most part, if something I've seen, even with my kids are Polish, they have some Americanness in them. My daughter is like, oh my God, like spotlight's on her 20s. But my son, he's Polish. Like, he's like, talk to him, sure, he's very nice, but like, he's doing his own thing for the most part. But we are a proud nation, and like you said, work ethic, companies, like with the resources we have, we do quite a lot here.
Yeah, what we should have, and maybe work on that, is to have a little bit more confidence. Like my colleagues from the US, definitely more confident there than we are. Yeah, if we are more confident with the knowledge and the work ethics that we do have, I think we would, rule the world.
I guess you just answered it, right? That's one of the reasons why go-to-market is not on the map, because go-to-market
You have
requires
to be
talking.
confident.
Right. It just requires.
Totally.
So while we do a lot of things, otherwise we wouldn't have these companies like Text, like Brand24, Base, and this and that and that. But we do a lot of good things. It's just we are not like rah about it for the most part. I think that there is some truth in that for sure. Okay, super interesting stuff. I do want to do rapid fire. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Let me say one more thing, because our CMO have a very nice saying that we should be proud and loud. And I believe that's the sentence that every Polish person should not every, but let's say every Polish, to just simplify, every Polish person should remember to be proud and loud about the things they do, and we would be known for doing great stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I think that right there is just perfectly put. Rapid fire round, one of my favorite ones. Quick questions, quick answers. Best advice you've ever received, business or personal?
When I was a child, my mother was always saying to me that I'm not everyone. So I would say that everyone was doing that and I cannot do this. And she would be like, "You're not everyone. You are you." So that was quite powerful, I have to say. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that is strong. You're not everyone. You're unique. Cool.
I have goosebumps now right now.
Yeah, shit. I mean, like, you drop these golden nuggets on me. Everybody does that, and I go to sleep, and next morning I wake up, talk to my wife about it. I'm thinking this thing constantly. Now that you put it, I wrote it down. I'll think about it. But this is pretty cool. Thank you. Advice you ignored or wish you had listened to?
I'm not sure if I have got this advice ever, but I wish I would prefer to skip consulting, and I would prefer to stick to product companies. To be honest, if maybe you never know, but I feel like if I went through this path, like the product path, from the start, I'll benefit from it.
100%. What would you tell your younger self, say 7-10 years ago, other than consulting?
Yeah. I would say to myself that I am solely responsible for my own health. Like, doctors are not responsible for my health. Sure. I am. And I would say that you can probably put this sticker on everything. Like, you're responsible for your own career. You are responsible for your own company. You are responsible for your own podcast. And yeah.
I think it's such an underrated thing. I think somebody once told me is that life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react to it. That's it. Your attitude towards things is exactly the thing that makes a lot of the difference. And sometimes it's just in the head. If you ask any famous soccer player, they'll tell you, or any athlete for that matter, if they think they can't do it, most likely they're not going to do it. But if you think you can, you will. So you have to take that responsibility onto yourself. This is really good. I guess what's one ongoing challenge in your current work that keeps you up at night?
Did you say current work or world?
In your work, yeah.
In my
challenge,
work. Yeah. So I can tell you what I do, what I was doing in this week. So I was basically analyzing customers that have low usage of our platform and trying to quantify what does it mean for our platform to be not to be used enough.
That is really interesting. I mean?
Yeah.
What tool do you use for that?
I would say I use multiple. I use Google Spreadsheets, but I pull multiple data points from Mixpanel.
Mixpanel! I love Mixpanel.
Is my Mixpanel. We have another. I'm not sure if I can say the names of the companies, but CRM tool, that's another, MRR and financial information, that's the part of it as well. So usage plus financial information multiple data points. That's something that I use for it. So that's my my challenge lately.
Yeah, this is a challenge for every week, I guess. There's always something happening on the user side. Favorite restaurant, meal, or spot in Poland?
Lately, my favorite spot in Krakow was it is called Buffet.
Buffet. Okay.
Buffet, so like buffet, but Polish vibes. It is Polish food, but not like extremely old-fashioned Polish. It is
so it's like
kind
new
of
chic.
trendy. Not that much. It is something in between. The owner of this restaurant is the same owner as Bottiglieria, which is the only 2 Michelin star restaurant in Poland. So that's the same guy.
Is that the one that got 2 Michelin stars in one go?
The same chef.
Yeah.
Like the same. The owner is the same person. However, like the Buffet one is with lower price point, because like Bottiglieria, I guess, pretty expensive and pretty difficult to get there. So like the Buffet one, I would recommend.
Cool,
I would definitely recommend.
This is a good shout out. Thank you. One tool you swear by?
Mixpanel.
I love Mixpanel, man. Like, you're preaching to the choir. Perfect. Well, Greg, it's been one hell of a conversation. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming out of the show. I guess, where can listeners find you? LinkedIn, website, your community? Is there any upcoming project, launch, talk, event that you're excited about? Give us it all.
If you were to find me, I think LinkedIn is the best place. And I'm pretty active there. Maybe not like I'm not active, so I don't publish much anymore. I focus on the hands-on stuff.
Sure.
Especially like after the consulting work, I had this longing for doing stuff myself, not like telling people how something should do. I'm like, let's go. I'm gonna sit down, hands-on, keyboard, with fingers on keyboards and stuff. So I, proud and loud. That's for myself as well. I'm not enough proud and loud. But anyways, LinkedIn, definitely, you can find me there. And yeah, thank you for inviting me. We've discussed this topic previously. That I was a little bit surprised that you've discovered me, because I'm not like a famous product person in Poland or anything like that.
Not yet.
So thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I was thinking about going this path, but like at least trying to be a little bit more famous, but I decided like not to do public speaking anymore, because that was very burning me out. It was I decided to choose different path. So I was a little bit surprised that you've reached out to me. So thank you for giving me this spot at the highlight. I love the conversation. I love all the questions. I'll be listening to your podcast. And all the best, I guess.
Yeah, thank you. No, I mean, proud and loud is the way you said it. I honestly believe, Greg, that if people paid more attention to the voices that are not heard, I do believe we can make a massive change just generally in tech SaaS or anything for that matter. So it's not about who is more famous or anything. I want to know people's opinion on where they stand and learn from their experience. And the fact that you were able to share your time with me and come on, have this conversation, I really appreciate it. So thank you for coming on. Folks, if you got value from this, share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'll see you next week. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.